My name's Theaster. I'm an artist from Chicago, and I have a show here at Kunsthaus Bregenz called Black Archive.
Weiß, 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 weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, weiß, weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, 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 weiß.
The project overall is maybe looking at two big ideas. The first idea has to do with memory and objects, and how these objects that I have from my collection, how they maybe carry a bigger meaning for others. And we've made a situation where these objects are on display. The show is about labor, painting, and sculpture, where we take the content of these objects and then we make new works that are kind of about the history of people, the history of mark making, the history of painting.
Weiß, weiß, weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, 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 weiß.
On the ground floor, in a way, it's the place of origins. It's a little bit about my history with sculpture that is from the continent of Africa, and then my relationship to ceramics, which was the first material that I learned to use, in relationship to roofing materials, which was like not art materials, but the materials that I learned to use as a result of working when I was young. We also have a small video that is a video of Shirley Temple. And the video is called Black Temple, and it's a moment when you get to see how race plays out in funny ways, both through this little girl, Shirley Temple, but also through this black man, Bojangles, who's like a professional dancer and actor, made to be kind of a minstrel figure. On the ground floor, there is this piece that we have called tar wall, and it's like comprised of materials that are ready to use, but it almost forms a ready-made. The bitumen is local, and always in sculpture, there's this wrestling between the potential that a material could produce and the value of just having the material present. And in this case, I decided that what I needed for the ground floor wasn't to create some monumental work of art, but really to just allow the materials to be present, also as a kind of origin story, so that people understand when they get to the first floor, what are the materials in their raw form that made the things that they see above.
Schwarz, weiß, schwarz, weiß, schwarz, weiß, schwarz, weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, 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 weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz.
On the first floor, then we have more of a tribute to my history with painting and line and drawing, and also a kind of honor of the work that I did growing up as a roofer. And we have these roofing works. The floor feels quite like a sanctuary in a way, which is part because of Zumter's amazing architecture, but also because of the presence of St. Lawrence on this floor. St. Lawrence is the saint who was responsible for building many churches, and he also built some libraries, and so we really like having him in a way in conversation with these roofs, because the roof that was made for him was taken away. Above on the second floor, we have another kind of archive, which is an archive about the Johnson Publishing Company. This company was an African-American owned company that published magazines, many magazines, but the two most famous ones are Jet and Ebony. Jet magazine was a periodical that was printed every week and for 4 decades. And we've taken some of those magazines and we've bound them by color. The color is related to the decade in which the magazines were produced. And we've created these new kind of color forms. The forms are loosely called homage. I too pay homage to the square. And this is me using the content of blackness to also reflect on my history with art and some of my heroes, which includes Joseph Albers, and maybe a nod toward minimalism. There is a tar work that was made here in the region. That is kind of a portrait, a black portrait, using one of the ebony covers and also lots of roofing material. Again, just a tension between knowledge and sculpture, black artistic practices, and the history of European modernism. All these things coming together in the work.
Weiß, weiß, weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, 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 weiß.
The name of the floor, the installation is A Bad Dream. And this is the floor where you really get to see the kind of complicated relationship I have with these two particular objects. One is a wooden minstrel figure who, when you flap this little wooden structure, he begins to dance.
Weiß, weiß, weiß. Schwarz, 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 schwarz. Weiß, 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 weiß.
So I wanted to have these objects live on this floor and blow them up. bigger than life size, so that they might kind of haunt you. But instead of taking these objects, which Ed Williams, the owner of the collection, he was constantly taking objects away from the market, taking them out of circulation so that people would not use them. I wanted to reintroduce these objects as larger than life to make the viewer have to confront the image of blackness and the kind of derogatory relationship that sometimes the white imagination has around, in this case, black skin or black people. And then we have this bookbinder and conservator. That in some ways I wanted to bring a portion of my archive to Bregenz, and not just the derogatory parts, but the parts that are also really redeeming. And I wanted Austrians to participate with me in the kind of restoration of some of these old artifacts and the care of them, maybe in a way that this would provide some kind of balance to the negative energy from these minstrels, that you would have this care happening right next to it.